I have one thing to say and one thing only. It's fucking go time, boys and girls, and whoever is listening. My Hero Academia Season 6 is here, and so is the Class 1A podcast, back at it at full speed once again. My name is Andrew Nimskert, and I have the full crew, James and Dylan, here to talk about everything that is going on. I am so excited. I almost forgot the co-host of my podcast. I've been doing this for 3 years now, and I am so excited for this episode, for the season, and all that kind of stuff. Are you guys sharing it? Am I overhyping the first episode? How are you guys feeling after the first episode of season 6?
We're back. I'm feeling good. It's good. It's good. It's good to be home, boys. It's good to be home.
Good to be home. Yeah, it's you know what? And the first episode we were pleasantly surprised that it was not the format we were expecting, and that's great.
Yes, we will be diving into that, and I want to talk about that. We have so much to kind of talk through here. It's our first episode. We'll kind of be going that. If you are joining us for the very first time, this is your first ever recap, first time going through a season with the Class 1A podcast. Want to walk through very, very quickly what that is. What we generally do, little opening, little bullshit talking, what we're doing right now. Then we're going to move on to a very, very short opening. I'm just going to hit some of the main high-level points, and then we'll kind of move into our initial thoughts and reactions before moving into a couple of major topics. These topics could be a fight, a lore drop, anything kind of like that. Things that we want to specifically call out and kind of make sure there's a good little segment to it. And then we end each and every episode with the Plus Ultra Award, where we decide a person, place, thing, or whatever the hell we want to argue for that went beyond that win Plus Ultra in that episode, which we will then tally up and decide who is the Plus Ultra winner of the season at the end of the season. So it's kind of just like an award for each episode, and then we'll wrap it up and get out of here. But with that kind of being in mind, if you guys are going to enjoy this podcast, have enjoyed it, or just getting to us for the first time, make sure to go over to youtube.com/class1a if you are not watching over there right now, and subscribe, comment, and all that kind of stuff. Otherwise, if you want to catch us on the road, we are on all podcasting platforms pretty much across the world. Spotify, Apple, Google, wherever you want to listen, we're there. If not, let me know and I'll make sure we are. But that's just a Class 1A podcast on all platforms. And last but not least, twitter.com/class1apod keeps you up to date with everything that we do. But let's get out of this opening and talk My Hero like we all want to. For the very short recap of episode 1 of season 6, it opens up with Twice and Hawks just talking a little bit, kind of working on the relationships. And we're starting to really kind of see that Hawks truly is on the hero side still. We learn a little bit more about the overall plans of the Paranormal Liberation Front, a little bit more about Twice and the general system, but it's still keeping it very high level. And we learn that Shigaraki has been out in the mountains away for 4 months. We kind of learned that at the end of season 5, but pretty much locking that in, and that was a month ago when the recap at the beginning started. So with a month passing, we go to the current time, where the heroes are finally about to make their attack and go in. We see them splitting into 2 groups, which consist of heroes, students, and support, and the police as well. Half of them going to where they think the front is based out of, half going to the hospital. Pretty much the rest of the episode revolves around the hospital, where a bunch of things happen. We have Endeavor and most of the heroes go up and confront the doctor, where we get a major lore jump on him, and we'll talk about him later. But it turns out that he is actually a Twice double that clearly is leveled up a lot since the last time we've seen Twice's doubles, and a bunch of Nomus break out and start attacking the heroes after most of the hospital is evacuated. But down in the very super secret layer, we see Miriko going absolutely insane with beautiful animation, I must say, taking out a bunch of Nomu, bursting in, taking out our little boy Johnny, and scaring the living shit out of the doctor, with the episode ending right there in the secret lab, where we believe that Shigaraki, a bunch of quirks, and a whole bunch of information coming in the next episode is going to be. So obviously I might have missed some things, but I think the number one thing we have to talk about, the most important thing here, this is the first season besides season 1, which obviously wouldn't have it, that didn't start with a recap, boys. That's all I care about. That sets this bar so high.
Yeah, I actually cannot believe it. Now, it is a little bit weird. So last season, we did have a recap episode, but it was an episode 0. So like this time, I guess they just like skipped the episode 0 and they just kind of sprinkled it in a little bit here because James, you pointed this out like before we started recording that like they did kind of put in some recappy type things into a lot of scenes.
Manga, they added anime specific stuff and scenes that were not in the manga to give a little bit of a recap vibe. But episode 0 usually always still counts for the episode count. This one doesn't.
No, it actually doesn't. So that's why they
Really?
use an episode 0, because it doesn't count towards the episode count. Because
never mind.
everyone was getting mad because I think some of the early seasons they did recaps, but they counted them as episode 1. Everyone's
Gotcha.
like, please stop taking away our episodes.
Give it us back. Yeah, no, it was nice. Like, it was like, because I like you always have that like that worry when you start the episode. You're like, okay, what am I getting into? Like, what is it going to be? And I think for the last like 2 or 3 seasons, we've always been like, oh, is it going to be a recap episode? And every time we've been disappointed. Not that we like, don't mind a recap episode, but you just want to get right into it, especially with this season. Like, we just wanted to get right into it, and they did it, which I think is the right, like, it's already like a good check in the box for this season.
Yeah, and I think the episode was titled A Quiet Start or something along the lines, or A Quiet Beginning.
Quiet beginning.
A Quiet Beginning. Which it was kind of true. I wouldn't say until the last minute or two, it was kind of a slower episode. It was a lot of information. It was a lot of like setting up what's going to be happening. So it still wasn't an action-packed episode, but it was mostly actually canon information, and it all looked great. And it was kind of good information to kind of have with some of it being new. So I think overall, I was incredibly happy with what we got. It was super exciting, and seeing a little bit of action and knowing that episode 2 is going to be starting off right in the middle of actions with everything happening at the hospital, and then also the other side hasn't even really engaged yet, and knowing that that's going to be an all-out battle as well, you just know that they set the stage like, okay, this was the one slow episode. From here on out, fighting will not stop for the next 7 to 8 episodes, however long this arc goes, and I think they couldn't have started off better than that.
Mm-hmm.
But
Yeah, no, I think this is the way to do it. Good job. We're getting hype. We're getting into the season. It's gonna be good. Like, I have full faith.
before we move into some of the things, like, is there any special moments or anything you want to call out? For me, it's Johnny. Johnny's the one that is like the standout moment for my episode. I mean, we should give him a plus ultra. Man's just vibing. He's just a happy little dude, has his J's on, and just gets obliterated by Miriko, who doesn't even try to hurt him. I mean, I think that was a moment that, like, the rest of it was fun and I really enjoyed it. But like, I visibly said, "Oh no," when Johnny got crushed in the episode. So I was devastated by that. But like, any little moments like that we want to call out before kind of going into the more lore and information kind of stuff?
Yeah, I think my favorite moment was they cut to the town and they're kind of establishing all the heroes are gone.
yes.
And they're like going through and everyone's like, oh, where are the heroes or not? And you see Slide and Go, who did not get the memo, and then Death Arm just come up behind him being like, hey, what's up? We know. That was great, because damn, I hate Slide and Go. He's an easy person to hate.
Hey, he sucks. Yeah. A nice little like thing that they kind of like add in is that like all the flashes between all the different lieutenants and like what their jobs are and stuff like that. I was really into that. I thought that was a nice little like addition, because like, you always wonder how in depth they make these organizations. I'm a big sucker for like structure and like, like specific roles and stuff like that. But for them to actually kind of lay that out, and then on top of it, show other members that are like just a part of that certain team and stuff like that. I thought that was really cool. I thought that was just like it builds out like the vastness and the like, the power of the metal or the Paranormal Liberation Army.
Paranormal Liberation Front.
There we go. Okay.
PLF. Yeah, I really agree too. I mean, it's something that they kind of announced very quickly at the end of season 5. But we also knew that it was going to very quickly kind of go into the kind of the all-out battle here at the same time. So I think they did as good a job as they can. Like, hey, here's a little bit more information. Here are a couple more people you might be seeing, that they kind of explained even why there might be bigger characters that we haven't seen yet before, because, they're already kind of proven, like they didn't need to be part of it. So I think that was very cool too. To kind of explain away why this character could have come in but be a big deal. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't remember that character at all. And
he looks like General Armstrong from like Full Metal Alchemist. Is kind of what it reminded me of.
He looks like the Fuhrer. Like that's who it was. Yeah. He's Pride. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, that looks. I was like, that looks so familiar. But I think a lot of it's setting up, and this was a little one. But Dylan, you lied to me, to James, to our listeners, to every person you've ever known when you said that one of your favorite moments was whatever bullshit you just said a minute ago. Just talk about Miriko thighs. That's
Yes,
all you want
okay.
to talk about.
Listen, they didn't have to do that. Why did they have a shot for thighs expanding? It was okay. Listen, this is the best scene. It was the best scene. It's the best girl. We love the bunny. We're gonna marry the bunny. We worship the bunny. She's the best. She's the best. And I honestly, I hope that the next however many 24 episodes, it's just going to be Miriko fighting. I hope it's just Miriko fighting, because otherwise, what's the point? What's the point of the season?
It's not worth it. It's not worth it. Yeah.
So like, I just took that as her flexing, though. Is that not how you guys took it?
No, it's just her flexing and showing the power of like she's really strong.
Yeah, like I almost like I don't want to say it like activating her quirk, because like she is like one of the like she's got the quirk that she just is the animal. But at the same time, I feel like it was more of like a suiting up sort of thing. But like. That's like that panel is not canon. Like they put that in there. Like that's not like
Horikoshi's assistant, it's like slipping money to the key animators, being like, I got the scene for you.
Yeah. I just need you to put this in there. Put as much I don't care what it costs, just throw it in.
I think like the big thing though about this is I want to talk about like two things that this showed us. So one thing or a couple things about last season that let people down, and I think it was mostly because of COVID, was that the animation really took a dip last season, and it just didn't hit the way that people wanted it to. I think this scene just sets up expectation for the entire season. Not only that, but I think the whole episode does really well. So we have really good animations here. So the animation is beautiful, all hand drawn. The composition's really good. You can tell whenever they're like really getting into it because they start using the thick lines, and so it looks really, really crisp. And not only that, now this doesn't apply to everyone because like the way that you depict violence against humans and non-humans is very different. But at least for the non-humans, they started showing blood and like a little bit of gore whenever Miriko was slammed into Johnny. So like that also paints a good light for the season because we know that they're not going to be holding much back. They're going to be giving us the good stuff here.
Yeah, which I think is going to be like, I just want to touch back on the animation because like, it's almost been expected that like you kind of save the budget up for like those 1 or 2 big episodes, and that's where like all the money goes and stuff like that. And like you really didn't know how it was going to go because there wasn't really a necessity for like really good animation up until the part of like Miriko starting to like unload, you know what I mean? So it's a really nice indication to see that you're getting that out the gate. We're seeing that episode 1, and maybe they spread it out a bit more by using like an all for nothing sort of thing where you're only getting that crate. Like I think we were talking about it for the team up fights on last season. You saw all the money go into one episode and that was it. So yeah, I'm hoping that it's we get it across the board. This is a good sign. Another check in the box.
I think we will too, and I just think almost stylistically, there's been it feels like there's a bit of a shift. I mean, I feel like between like the kind of fade in, fade out panels where we show the different heroes, that the opening, even like the showcasing all of the different lieutenants, all of those had kind of I want to say like manga comic book style kind of design of where it has a lot more of the dots, a lot more of kind of the offsetting colors with blacks in the background, which I really loved how a lot of that looks. So not only do I really like the actual animation, but the stylistic choices they're going to be doing and adding on top of that, like, oh my God, we'll talk about the opening in a little bit, but I love that opening and kind of the manga style. So I think that's great. And I want to move into some of the kind of other topics too, but I also think most of you guys know, if you guys don't know, we are all caught up on the manga. We kind of have an idea of what's going to be happening here. We don't talk about it. We kind of keep it very spoiler free. But there are little snippets here and there where they're adding in a little bit more information or an extra scene to add on to things that are becoming in the future that I do love. That is all I really say, but they are doing a great job of flushing out things that maybe the manga didn't do a great job of. So I'm very excited to kind of see how some of that pays off. And that'll be an end of season thing that we'll go back and talk about. But they are doing the manga justice while also making things more clear for anime watchers only that may not have a 3,000 chapters to read and kind of get all this information on. So they're doing a phenomenal start of the season.
They're also setting up the pacing really well because of that. So like contextually, like this is 3 chapters that they adapted, but like the chapters they did were ones that were basically like info dumps. And so like instead of like us having to sit through like literally an entire episode of just the beginning part, which is still really good, they are still able to pull in some of the action scenes too. So I feel like if they keep up this type of pacing, like it's going to feel really good.
Yeah, this is a really good indication for how the anime is going to run alongside the manga for this arc and the following ones, right? This is like I gotta get like a little like checkbox. Can I get like one like animated in of just like all the stuff we want? That'd be do it in post. Do it in post.
Yeah,
Pacing. Another one.
We'll have our editor. We'll have an editor do that. Yeah, absolutely. So I want to do a quick vote, guys. Like let's raise your hands if you think Hawks is a good guy. I mean, I'll raise my hand at this point. Like, we're all kind of coming into the season of like, is he good? Is he a double, triple, quadruple agent? Like, which way is he going? I think the opening scene made it very clear that his one and only thought that's going through his head is destroying the Para-Liberation Front, his fear about Twice and all that kind of stuff. We see their friendship. It's obviously gotten a lot closer, but he never said anything that could have been really taken as he might not be working for the heroes. It's very clear he's on the side and playing the double agent, which it seemed interesting to make that so clear so quickly in the season after spending all of last season kind of being in a gray area, but I'm okay with it because I think we have so many other things that are going to be happening.
Yeah, I still think that there's a huge thread still, no pun intended, about Best Jeanist. Like, what happened? Like, how?
What
like,
happened?
What happened? How happened? What's going on? Like, could he have really killed Best Jeanist? Because like this happens and it's very clear like he's a good guy,
but he still did that thing. Like,
how do you show up with Best Jeanist in a big old bag and just be like, I killed him, right? Like, is he just like did they just like turn him a certain way and he's like, all right, just close your eyes and just like pretend
don't breathe,
you're dead.
Don't breathe for a minute. Yeah, exactly.
I feel like they had to have checked, right? They're not just gonna
there's
like
no
open
way.
it and see a bunch of
Topsy.
denim and just be like, oh, cool. Someone's wearing
I'm
the Canadian
surprised Dobby
tuxedo.
didn't,
Clearly,
like,
it's him.
Burn the bag like right in front of Hawks to like double check or something like that. Like I like that would have been a last season kind of moment, but like I'm surprised
We actually had no scene there.
We didn't.
Really?
Like we didn't have a scene of them checking. Like the last scene that we saw was Hawks with this big mysterious bag that's Best Jeanist sized, just flying, and that's it. That's all we get.
I'm
So
really
just
surprised
to kind of circle back really quick for our audio only listeners, we all raised our fucking hand just so people know.
Yeah, that is true.
Said it, I was just like, shit. Like I gotta address that. But yeah, no. So like that's just it. Like you show up with a Best Jeanist size bag, and people just take your word for it because you're Hawks, I guess. Like there's like, yeah, you definitely off this guy. That's cool. All right, we'll move on. Like they've really drilled in like how untrusting they were initially and how much they bugged him and surveilled him and stuff like that. So yeah, like they got to address it at some point, right?
Like there's two conclusions here. Like one, he actually is like he's like the ends justify the means kind of person of where he actually did. Or two, there is some quirk that we don't know about that could like copy a person.
Yeah. Or we could even do something kind of like maybe Eerie had a thing where she ended up reversing him after the fact or something kind of like that. I mean, I think there's some far-fetched things out there, but I think it's either that or and justifying some means. I think it has to one or two.
I mean, that would be like a really good reveal of like that Eerie has control over quirk is like, it's like, oh, we reversed the death. And then that's how we show like Eerie has
like timeline wise, that doesn't add up though, because like last season we saw
timeline does not make sense last season.
Don't worry about the timeline.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, we don't count. Yeah, actually, come to think of it, we've jumped around like months in this one episode alone. So
yeah.
Everything's out the window. Never mind. Don't listen to me. Just Hawks maybe not like I don't know, gray hero, I guess.
Yeah, we'll figure. I think we'll definitely get more information on that pretty quickly because as the heroes come into attack here, Hawks is at that base. So we either see him starting to attack right away, kind of hide for a bit, go and work with the villains for a bit. Like, you have to make a decision pretty quickly because of how powerful he is. So I think that'll be where we get our next step on information for him for now. But Dylan, you call and self-proclaim that you are a master of quirks. So yes. I think there's no better person to take on the segment of talking about the quirk doctor than you.
Yeah, so let's talk about Kyodai Garaki. So we got a big, huge info dump, and I don't remember how much of his face that we saw last season, but we were talking about, like, this is just the same doctor that did Deku's thing, right? And we have a very plain, clear picture of him. And yes, it is that exact same doctor. Like it's the same. It's 1-to-1. So that's like an ultra confirm here. That is the same person. But also like we got a bunch of info about him. So apparently he is this upstanding doctor who runs the Jaku Hospital. Of course, it's a Star Wars reference because it's Horikoshi. But he is the head of this hospital, and not only that, but he has also done a lot of charity work by opening up nursing homes and orphanages, which he owns a bunch of orphanages. That's mega sus. Okay. But yeah, so he has a bunch of those, and then we know he has a secret underground layer with every single quirk you could probably imagine. Nomu's like out the ass, tons of them, and apparently he has some quirk that is like Twice's or is exactly Twice's that can duplicate.
No, he said that was Twice's.
Oh, it was
ability.
actually Twice's. It was Twice's, and it could use quirk still. So he's using like a anti-aging quirk of some sort, and is clearly like messed up the records. So like the person he says he is on paper is not that actual person. So this is probably his like second life at the very least, of where he lived and then probably faked his death, and then like was like, oh, here's another person that I can just jump onto and assume that identity. He's scary. Yeah. I think the scary implication here is that he owns orphanages and nursing homes all around Japan. So like at the very least, we can assume that this is where he's storing a bunch of Nomu, at least like as like a secret location. So he has places all around, which makes sense because we heard, I think it was the beginning of last season or the season before, that there was reports of Nomu all around Japan, like people spotting them. So this totally makes sense then of like how they would be spotted all over the country.
Yeah, I completely agree. And I know we're kind of talking about the doctor too, but another thing I want to call out there is how scary Twice is. Are you saying that double was in place for 4 months since the doctor's been down in the secret lair doing work and no one being able to tell a difference for 4 months is ridiculous? I mean, there may have been like shifts here and there. They don't make that clear, but the idea that it could be completely indistinguishable is terrifying, and really showing that Twice, who again Hawks called out is clearly the biggest threat, has really taken a level up after getting over his trauma as well. So I want to go back to the doctor eventually, but I want to call that out.
I don't think that part I don't think is actually new, because at least Twice, whenever he would make duplicates of himself, they stood around for a really, really long time, because that was like a whole big thing of like him not knowing if he himself is a double, and that's just because he can have his doubles around for a long time. So I don't think that's the scary part. I think the scary part about Twice is that he's confident now. Like he's confident in his ability, and like Hawks even calls it out of where he's like, oh, since he got over his trauma, like he is actually like a big threat now. Like the fact that he can just pull out Sad Man's Parade when he needs to is horrifying. Like the only thing he has going for him is that he's like kind of dumb, and that's the only like saving grace here.
I don't think he's necessarily stupid. I think he's just kind of naive and very good-willed. I don't think
he's a little,
Yeah, he's not stupid.
He's not
just
the
a dumb
smartest,
guy.
but
yeah. I kind of want to circle back to the doctor too, because he was talking about, well, like Mirko was essentially fucking shit up in his lab. How long it's taking him to store quirks there and stuff like that. I don't know if it's a rather obvious point, but like orphanages and nursing homes storing quirks. That's not good.
Nope.
That's real bad.
No, I mean it. I mean, there's always that theory, right? That's always out there of like that the doctor took Deku's quirk away from him when he was young, which like true or not, like if he has nursing homes and orphanages, you'd probably just take people's quirks, right? Like that's the right.
Yeah, nursing home. Oh, they just they went to palliative and they died.
Yeah,
orphan, no record, easy peasy.
Like, it's never been clarified how. We have no information on how he gets quirked, how he extracted. Like this is kind of the first kind of like we knew that All for One had the ability, so maybe he was able to create some version of All for One's quirk, and like they're even kind of going into the regeneration power and stuff kind of like that. Like we still don't know if his quirk was his original quirk, if it was one he took from someone else, if it was an artificial quirk. Is something that they threw out there as an acquisition, assuming that might be possible to somehow create a quirk or combine quirks to create one artificially, a lot of that thing's kind of way out there. So yes, I think the logic your guys are kind of getting at of where they're getting these quirks from is out there, but I'd also love to know more about how he actually extracts them and like what are in these jars. Is it a liquid? Is it like a gas? Is it like, we just see a ton of jars. We don't know what it is, like, and how they get it back into it. I think goo is the most sad. It kind of looked gooey or liquidy when some of them broke, but I'm like,
well,
what sense does that make?
Yeah, I always just assumed that it was just like All for One just sitting in his like chair, and then like the doctor just brings him a person and just goes, take the quirk, and he just takes it and puts it into the goo jar.
Yeah,
but so All for One is for him though. Like we know that he can give and take quirks to people. We've never seen him just take a quirk and then put it in the ether. Like even, I guess, never mind. I almost went into something else, but I think that's not something that we have clarity on.
I do want to, like, I'm genuinely curious on the science behind it though. And I feel like that's something that's not outside of Horikoshi's like realm to like dive into at some point. But like, is it like DNA splicing? Like, is that what does it? Like, I think
this will be something never explained.
You
this
think
is a
like
classic thing for Horikoshi not to explain because it gets way too complicated. People start asking too many questions, and it doesn't.
Yeah, it breaks the universe.
I guess we can't have that.
But I think we have one last section to kind of talk through, just kind of briefly, because it's kind of hard because we can't actually play them. But I want to talk a little bit about the opening closers, a little bit new OPEDs out there, and I'll kind of lead off with closing is whatever to me. It didn't really stick with me. Maybe it'll grow on me. I think it's okay, but I think the opener slaps. I am a big fan of the animation and the song. It takes a while to kick in, but once the song kicks in, I love it.
Yeah, it's incredible. I mean, visually, it's stunning, right? I think the music is fine for me. Like, it's, I know. I actually felt like it was a little bit too low energy for like supposedly a war arc. But the visuals though are insane.
Yeah, the visuals are really, really good. It's very American, like comic inspired. Like it's sick that way. It takes a little bit to pick up. It's definitely not my least favorite opener. But it's definitely not up there. And like I think Dylan, that's a great point. Like we're moving into a like at least the next arc should just be like all out fighting nonstop sort of thing. So like it would make sense to have like a more like, I don't know. I love going back to like the Death Note openers because those things are just like they go so hard for no reason. But like the metal opener of Death Note, that would have been like something like that would have been great here. And but like, go ahead.
No, I was gonna say I think it plays into like it would have worked with the visuals too. Like the visuals are kind of upbeat, but like the song, I don't want to say it doesn't match, but it almost doesn't match.
Yeah, I think it's almost a stretch. You know what I mean? Like we're like you can like you're kind of into it, but I think it's one of those things that I might have to go back and like listen to a few more times. But we'll see. But the closer, yeah, it's for me, it's very typical closer energy. It doesn't seem special. It's nothing special at all. Like I hate to say it, I'm probably gonna start skipping it like fairly soon to get to like the preview. You know what I mean?
I'll give both a couple more episodes.
I needed to be the defender here. There's some really, really cool scenes in the ending, like some really cool ones, like the young Deku and young Shigaraki. Like that's a really cool scene.
And maybe because we were rushing to get ready, but like the ending was so kind of meh. I didn't even really pay attention to the animation of it because the song that didn't click me that much.
Watch it next time, please.
I need to watch it more. I want to give both of it. I want to check in like 5 episodes from now and see where we're standing because I think it generally changes a little bit as we get going too. And they don't have as long as a kind of an opening scene before the credits and all that kind of stuff. So I want to check in where we're at for a bit, but right now they both kind of feel mid. I mean, the ending kind of feels mid to lower.
Yeah,
but
Andrew, you can't reveal to people that our secrets of that we just finished the episode and started recording like immediately after. We can't.
No, we watched it several times. We watched it several times. It dropped.
Exactly. Yeah. Andrew and I both stayed up until 3 a.m, watched the episode, went to bed, took notes.
Like, I was awake long enough where I got the notification on my phone saying "Watch My Hero Academia season 6," but I did not. I waited till this morning.
I was gonna say I saw Andrew going to bed around 2:20 last night, and for us the episode airs at 3 a.m. I'm like, man, is he staying up for this? Is he just gonna watch it?
I might. We'll see. I'll give you an update on that next week. But I think we have one thing and one thing left. It's the Plus Ultra Award. It's the first one of the season, so we need to set the tone right. which means Dylan cannot go first, which means I'm going to let James, you can lead off with the first Plus Ultra award of Season 6.
I'm going to steal his thunder. And speaking of thunder, Miriko's thighs. So that's it. That's it. They went Plus Ultra. They went Plus Ultra. Absolutely. Well, Miriko like all together.
Huh?
Like because I like a big reason for it is kind of like it's kind of a meta reason because we for so long haven't seen really why Miriko is like top echelon of heroes, right? We have no really idea, and then we just see her Beyblade through like several Nomu like it's nothing, and then axe poor Johnny. So like I mean, I think the physical prowess of her is like very much exemplified in that one scene, and it takes place in like over like not even 30 seconds. You know what I mean? Like it's very quick, but you're like, holy shit, this chick is like she's the real deal. Plus her thighs. So yeah, that's where I'm going.
Dylan?
So actually, it is not going to be Miriko for me. I think Miriko clearly is going to have an insane moment next episode. But for me, it was one person that was caught completely flat-footed, right? Absolute surprise the doctor. Yet he was still like, no, all my plans are good. I got Nomu that just pop up out of nowhere. Like that's Plus Ultra. Like I think like
okay, yeah.
I think setting the tone for him as a villain, like we've always seen him kind of in the shadows, very dark, mysterious. And then this one, like I said, caught completely flat-footed. It wasn't even him. He had the Nomu on deck ready to go. Like in the face of the heroes just storming his own hospital. And not only that, it also set the fact that he has tendrils just like All for One that reach all across the country, that go everywhere. I don't know. I feel like this is a person to be feared. Maybe on par with All for One.
I like it.
His right hand man.
I like it.
All right.
What
So,
you got, Andrew?
What is the thing that we all hate the most at the beginning of the season? The recap. Who is the one man that had the power to stand up and say, no, we are done with these. No more recaps to start seasons. Give the people what they want. That man is Kenji Nagasaki, the director of My Hero Academia anime. This man finally had the balls to do what no one has before. Even though he's directed multiple seasons in the past, he has grown balls between last season and this season, and now he deserves to go Plus Ultra because he gave us, the people, what we wanted. A not completely non-canon first episode of the season, and I think that is as Plus Ultra as you can go.
Wow,
that's a good one.
That is a meta answer. Oh my god,
that is the first time we've given it to something outside of a show or topic inside.
Yeah, we've never even Plus Ultra
never
for
makes
Koshi.
sense.
Like
yeah, maybe Orgo should get one soon too. But I think that was just great because I think what stood out for me is that I got so much excitement when the rumors started coming around that it was going to be a real episode. No matter what, I would have been hyped. But actually knowing that now next week we get into real action instead of the first episode of the season just made this whole thing so much better. What already an amazing month of anime. So I think that really kind of set the tone for me. But
just to throw you under the bus a little bit, Andrew, for our audio listeners, because at this point I'm just shouting you guys out all the time. Andrew blatantly looked down at his hand to say that.
I wanted to make sure I said it right.
Like he written it on before. It was just like, yeah, I could say this right.
The only notes he took for the episode was that.
Yeah, seriously,
it was the only thing I wrote down coming into this.
Oh my god!
Everything else was off the dome, baby. But that is going to be it for the first episode of season 6 of My Hero Academia for the Class 1A podcast. Thank you all so much for listening and attending this class, and we will see you all back here next Saturday for the next class session. Thank you very much, and see you then.